What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over the Umbreon hype lore. I think Umbreon has extremely expensive cards that I feel like are adequately graded, but I also think that there are certain cards from Umbreon that are extremely overprinted and extremely overpriced, and today we're going to go over each one. So number one is the Umbreon Play promo. I think the Umbreon Play promo is like totally a grail, extremely legendary card. Man, there's just only so many out there in the world, only 23 PSA 10s. Fanatics Collects is asking 225,000. A little bit about this card is it's from the Play promo that trainers in Japan had to gather points, and you had to gather 70,000 points to get this card, basically via a prize. So there weren't even really packs that you could get out of it. Extremely legendary card, grail level. If you were going to get any Umbreon card that you had an unlimited amount of money, this is probably the one that you would want and the one that most, I would say, luxury collectors buy. Next card is Umbreon Gold Star. This card comes from Pop Series 5. This card is extremely expensive. PSA 10's last most recent sold is 15,000. I think if you were able to find one for 15,000, I think that would make a lot of richer collectors excited, because most asks on eBay are far and away higher than 15,000. There's only 52 PSA 10s out there. Next card is Umbreon Call of Legends. This card I think is extremely not known. There's only a few of them. Call of Legends is from 2011. The last sold back in March was almost $5,000. There's only 22 of these in PSA 10, and I think that that's extremely low. The gem rate is really tough. 22 out of 746 is less than 3%. I think this card is probably definitely not on the overhyped list. I think this is probably a fair valuation considering how little there are for most Umbreon collectors. Next card is Umbreon New Discovery. This is the original Umbreon. This is like super beautiful. It has a super awesome moon in the background. There's also first edition and there's unlimited cards in this set. $8,000 for the last sold back in June. There's only 101 of these out of 1,400 that were graded. I think most people who've had them since 2001 obviously don't have them in PSA 10. So if you were trying to get this in PSA 10, you'd probably need a packed fresh card. And that's just not easy to come by and to hit this card. So I think this is fairly valued as well. I would not consider this an overhyped card. The next card is Umbreon Prime Undaunted. These cards have been like sneakily creeping up in price. I don't really like the look, honestly, of this kind of zoomed up Umbreon face. I feel like I like the Umbreon cards that are better with like a background or scenic, or there's just a little bit more character arc in the background. So I think that's why this card is not as famous or as heavily chased. So there's only 70 of these out of 2,600, and so I wouldn't call this card overhyped either. I think considering how low of a population run there are, and the gem rate is just super low as well. There's just a lot of people have tried to get a 10, but none have really succeeded. So 70 PSA 10s, I think 5,200 is probably a fair price for grail level Umbreon collectors or chasers. I wouldn't consider this card overhyped. Umbreon Skyridge. This one has a beautiful moon too in the background. I think that's kind of goes unnoticed. Skyridge is really expensive if you want to open it, but I feel like out of the e-reader series era compared to modern, a lot of people have gone to modern maybe for the price and just the chase of opening. But e-reader cards are just iconic. The art is beautiful. It's way better than base set in my opinion, or even Neo. I think these are probably the best WotC level era cards. There's only 175 of these that were PSA 10. A lot of people probably never tried to grade these. I think that just goes to show that the e-reader cards are just not really out there. So if you wanted to buy something that, obviously all vintage, there's no more being printed, but there's just not a lot out there. I think even if you own this card at any grade level, there's just not a lot of cards that are graded. There's only 513 that were graded in the Skyridge set. Last sold is 9,600, and that's like a really high price, but I feel like considering the legendary status of Skyridge plus the fact that there's only 175, I wouldn't consider this overhyped either. Next card is Aquapolis. Aquapolis is pretty similar, e-reader series, PSA 10. I think this one's probably honestly cheap in comparison. It has a really nice background of the buildings and the moon and just the overall city. I really like this card. I feel like this card should probably be more expensive considering there's only 139 of them. 6,200 this month, a really nice card. Umbreon. I wouldn't consider this overhyped at all. And there's just, again, like the same thing with the e-reader, there just aren't a lot out there. Only 543 were graded ever. Like a 25% gem rate, I feel like that is skewed just by how little these cards were graded. So now we get into ultra modern Umbreon EX Prismatic Evolutions. This card has been like all the rage the last few months. The pull rates out of this set are extremely tough, but despite that, they've already had 4,420 that have been graded. I feel like that is a lot for a modern set that's supposedly super hard to pull from. And 1,653 are already a PSA 10. Like, that is wild. And so our price to pop ratio number is $1.72. And if you just want to compare that with the previous card, it's $44. So that just goes to show how many are out there, how many 10s are out there. And is this 2850 price really supportable by how many are out there? And now we have the Costco bundles. I think we probably have another 2 years of prismatic prints that are probably going to come out. So I would be very, very surprised if this Umbreon EX card can maintain this value. I have a feeling it's probably going to head towards a lot of other modern cards where they're going to have a huge dip after this kind of hype runs out, and then the new video game comes out in October and a new set will appear. I just feel like this is a very, very expensive card considering how many there are. And the number's only going to go up because new packs are being opened every single day. People will start busting the SBCs once Christmas comes around. I'm sure there will be a lot of people gifting and opening, and just throughout the year, there's going to be a lot of SBCs open. A lot of the Costco booster bundles are going to be open. And I also have a sneak feeling that because the pull rates are so bad historically, or you just hear them online that the pull rates are terrible and blah, 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 a lot of people are going to keep sealed prismatic. And that means to me that they're going to buy sealed prismatic, hold it in their closet, and they're going to like slowly open it over the years. Everyone's gonna like be like, oh yeah, remember that Umbreon chart that was, $3,000, blah blah blah, and they're gonna try to chase it. And so that 4,000 number to me in 2 years might be 5 times that. I don't imagine it being ever this low ever again. I think it's gonna be an explosion of special illustration rare Umbreons from this set. I think this card is probably top 3 overhyped cards. Might be a little controversial because I think this card is extremely overhyped for the price, but this got a lot of people back into the hobby. It came out during the pandemic. Evolving Skies was also nicknamed like Evolving Cries. A booster box is like $2,000. And if you just look at that price, look at that, 14 cents for the price to pop ratio for PSA 10s. That is crazy. Almost 17,000 Evolving Skies Umbreon VMAXs. That is wild. And $2,300, is that really justifiable for how many are out there? I think anyone, though, who started recently in the hobby and they've, spent a lot of money opening Evolving Skies, I have a feeling they maybe have more sentimental value towards this card, which is kind of what's maybe buoying this price. I just can't see how the pop report really justifies this price at all. And the gem rate is crazy, 72%. Is that even possible? Man, so maybe it's just a lot of 10s out there. I wouldn't be surprised if this card does not appreciate very much anymore going forward. I think a lot of people, if it gets a lot more expensive, they might opt to get the Prismatic EX more. I do think this card looks nicer. It has a really nice moon in the background. It has the city. Kind of really feels like the Aquapolis card. It's a nice bay, ocean. And yeah, it is a beautiful card, but almost $2,400 from June 2nd. And there's almost 17,000. I just feel like that, yeah. I feel like this card is overhyped. It's crazy. Number 1, I put this in number 1 because just the price to pop ratio is the lowest, 7 cents. A PSA 10 for Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates came out, I think, in 2019, and it was just one of the few cards I feel like just got obliterated when they were getting sold. Like, there were so many Hidden Fates tins, I felt like they were everywhere. And there were Hidden Fates ETBs, and it's really nice because it had the Shining series. And I think it's really cool that there's actually like a light blue Umbreon Shining version, PSA 10. But if you just look at the price, it's like $400, and the gem rate is like over half. So there's a lot of 10s out there, 5,300 10s out of almost 9,500 cards graded. But yeah, $400, I think, call me crazy, but It would not surprise me if Evolving Skies came back down to this level too, because just considering how many are out there, how many were printed during the pandemic, and just the amount of people that tried chasing this card and how many people have graded them, I feel like there's just a lot of overpriced Umbreon cards from the modern era. And I just don't see how the Umbreon fandom can support 2300, 2800 ultra modern cards from the last 3 or 4 years. And so I think the top three definitely are Umbreon EX Prismatic Evolutions. That 1600 PSA 10 number is definitely going to be a lot higher. In 2 years, maybe it's going to be close to Evolving Skies, like maybe 10x that number. And just with the amount of people in the hobby that have chased this card, I feel like over time, maybe we'll just see kind of maybe price stability or price falling for Evolving Skies. And just 17,000 tens is an astronomical number. And, Hidden Fates being a shining version, people really love the shinies, but you can kind of see how this is reflected in the price that there's a lot of them out there. Almost anyone can get them. There's not really this extremely high price escalation that came out from the set. And so I think these top three are the most overhyped and probably overpriced Umbreon cards. Every video I'm going to go over maybe the top 5 Pokemon cards from my last series, and then I'm going to try to think of some other new content to post. And thank you for watching. If you could like and comment what you think and whether or not you think Evolving Skies is overpriced or overrated, or just how many are out there, and or any kind of general thoughts about the modern Umbreon cards, whether or not you're buying them and whether you think they're kind of worthy cards to hold on to. Thank you.